Every summer vacation, Prahlad used to be super excited to visit his Dadu's house back in his ancestral village. Dadu was an ex-scientist who had a great career. Now he was leading a quiet, retired life, a simple life, comfortably back in his ancestral home. Prahlad and Dadu loved each other the most and were like absolute best friends. Dadu would wait all year to meet his sweet grandson, and Prahlad used to be super happy on seeing and hugging Dadu every time. There was one more thing Prahlad was super excited about. After meeting Dadu, Prahlad would always run upstairs to Dadu's study room. The room had something really special. Something Prahlad loved even more than Dadu. It was a massive ancient telescope. A telescope that Dadu had preserved over the years. Dadu was a space enthusiast and he lived and breathed science. He couldn't live a day without diving deep into the cosmic ocean. Prahlad would immediately sit at the telescope gazing at the stars for hours. He used to look at the stars and be in complete awe of the glory of the cosmos. He loved being mesmerized by the sight of stars and planets. Just like his Dadu, Prahlad loved to dive deep into the cosmic ocean. It was not only the ancient telescope. Almost every night, Dadu would take out Prahlad for a long walk to an ancient lake. The lake was just a few kilometers away from his house. Far away from city life, the village had a clear sky at night, and the lake offered a beautiful view of the stars. Prahlad used to be mesmerized and totally consumed by the beautiful view the lake had to offer. Dadu and Prahlad would sit on a stone just beside the lake. It was on this stone that Dadu would teach Prahlad about the deep mysteries of the universe. He made Prahlad aware of the basic scientific realities of life, how each and everything in our universe was deeply interconnected. He taught Prahlad about the ancient Vedic rishis as well as the modern astrophysicists. He taught Prahlad how everything and every branch of science was related to each other. He laid a solid scientific foundation for Prahlad, and as a result, Prahlad developed an intense and real thirst for scientific knowledge. Back in the city, Prahlad used to read and immerse himself in books all the time. Maths, physics, and chemistry were his best friends. He used to be way ahead of his peers in almost every subject. He used to read up every book on science he laid his hands on. If not books, he would be on his computer for hours. He would teach himself about various subjects and topics. The more he studied, the more he developed a profound and deep respect for both ancient and modern scientific knowledge. Prahlad's results in school were consistently great as well. He always managed to be in the top 3 rank holders. While other kids used to play football in the games period, Prahlad would immerse himself in books. Things continued the same way, and every summer vacation, Prahlad would visit his Dadu. They would read interesting books together, play together, and Prahlad would spend most of his time in front of the telescope. It was standard 10th, and Prahlad decided to work on a really cool science project. He had turned his room into a mini lab of sorts, and he would execute all the ideas he had. One such idea was a magnetic glove. He had seen the basic concept of the glove in a blockbuster Bollywood movie, and he wanted to make something similar. Over several months, using all his knowledge, Prahlad was indeed able to make a super cool magnetic glove. The glove was able to attract and hold all things made of ferromagnetic metals. Prahlad was super excited and proud of himself. He wanted to show it to his teachers and classmates back in his school. Instead of appreciating him, Prahlad's science teacher made fun of him. He said the glove was stupid. He told Prahlad he was stupid enough to even think of wasting his time on something like this. He picked up the glove and threw it away in the dustbin. The entire class laughed at Prahlad. Prahlad felt absolutely demotivated. He did not expect this. He thought people would appreciate his work, appreciate his talent. He realized the system was not meant for people like him. Prahlad's classmates, his juniors as well as seniors in school, started to get jealous of him. They humiliated Prahlad, insulted him, bullied him, and made fun of him whenever they had the chance. One time, a senior beat him up real bad and told Prahlad to not act smart all the time. They were all jealous of the natural genius that Prahlad was. Prahlad felt alone. There was no one for him. The system was against him. The people were against him. He only had Dadu back in his village, but things were not that great there as well. Prahlad's Dadu had become really ill. His health was declining day by day. He was getting old. Prahlad would visit him sometimes, but Dadu was not Dadu anymore. He was in his 90s and was now paralyzed. He couldn't speak a word, couldn't go to washroom on his own, and he couldn't recognize anyone, not even Prahlad. As Prahlad was growing up, academic pressure increased. Life was all about scoring marks. It was not about knowledge or practical application of knowledge. It was all about scoring marks. Prahlad had no time for himself or his interesting science projects. Prahlad reached standard 11th and 12th, and he found out that it was all about solving MCQs. Prahlad trained his mind to solve MCQs quickly and mindlessly, but he felt lifeless from within. Prahlad would attend his school, attend his coaching classes, and walk back home depressed, wishing he did not exist at all. Practical classes in 11th and 12th were a joke in the name of science. Students simply copied practicals from seniors, and seniors had stolen it from somewhere. Lab experiments were a joke. Prahlad knew that if he wanted to get into a great college, he had to shut up and do what he was told to do. Obviously, Prahlad got a great rank in the topmost engineering entrance exam of the country and got admission in computer science branch in the topmost government engineering college of the country. But Prahlad's real passion was science. He was not that interested in computer science at all. Still, he was told to choose computer science because that would mean getting a great salary. College was no different than school or coaching. Teachers would give them notes, tell them to memorize it, and questions would come from the same notes. Prahlad felt suicidal all the time. Things were not that great in private colleges as well. Prahlad's distant cousin named Agastya used to tell him about his life as an average engineering student, and it was nothing different than Prahlad's. Despite all the hurdles, all the obstacles, Prahlad scored really great in all his exams and had an unbelievably great CGPA by the end of 4th year. He secured an insanely high-paying job in the biggest software company of India. Prahlad was now coding away his life, but his real passion was long gone. He had imagined himself as a scientist, a researcher, an inventor, but that scientific spirit inside him was dead. And then one day, while he was at his office, Prahlad got the news of his Dadu's death. Dadu was no more. Dadu's Antim Sanskar was performed in his village, and Prahlad performed all the rituals with his father. They watched Dadu as he slowly and steadily burnt away into oblivion. The night of the last rites, Prahlad sat beside the ancient lake and stared at the night sky after ages. The night was cloudy and he could hardly see any stars. Prahlad felt dead from inside. It felt as if it was the end of everything.